What if the thing you call self-sabotage is actually self-protection wearing an old disguise? Hmm. Welcome to your cup of awakening, your small, powerful sips of truth that shift everything in real time. So grab your cafecito and let's slow this moment down. I jumped into an AA meeting today and I was able to share. And what came up for me was the idea of how easy it can be to get comfortable, to think, oh, yes, I got this. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. I've figured it all out. And then somehow the thing just sneaks up on you. And for me, that made me think about the actual prices that I pay for addiction. Not just the obvious ones, of course, but the relational ones. The ways that I've damaged relationships, the ways that I haven't nurtured relationships that really actually matter to me, the ways that I actually have let distance become normal. And instead of going straight into shame about that, I just started getting curious because that's actually where I want to live now. Not what's wrong with me, but actually more like what was happening underneath that? Hmm. Why would someone who deeply wants meaningful relationships also hold people at arm's length? Why would someone who values connection sometimes not fully nurture the very connection that she says that she wants? And that question opened up something for me. I started thinking about my friendships, about betrayal, about being hurt by people I trusted, about having my best friend who was like a sister to me steal my actual identity, and other relationships where I felt like I was constantly giving and giving and giving and not really receiving anything much back from that. And then when experiences like that happen enough times, I think that it starts to teach you something. Maybe not something that's true, but something that your nervous system starts to treat like truth. Maybe closeness becomes connected with risk. Maybe generosity becomes connected with being used. Maybe trust starts to feel dangerous. And then you can find yourself in this really strange contradiction. You want intimacy, but you don't fully trust intimacy. You want people close, but you don't, but not, maybe not so close that they can actually really hurt you. Then you want to belong, but part of you is already preparing for the moment that you will be left. And and I thought, whoa, maybe some of the relationships that felt superficial in my life weren't necessarily superficial because I didn't want depth. Maybe, maybe superficial just felt safe or safer. That one landed. Because sometimes we don't sabotage what we want because we don't want it. Sometimes we sabotage what we want because some part of us learned that having it makes us vulnerable. That one feels very different. And then I actually started connecting it back to my addiction because maybe part of the drinking, part of the wanting to fit in, wanting to loosen up, wanting to feel like I belonged was connected to that too. Maybe alcohol helped bridge that gap for me for a while, at least. It helped me feel connected, comfortable, relaxed, less guarded, more willing to be social. But at the same time, there was still part of me holding people at a distance because if I never let you in all the way, then maybe you can't hurt me all the way. Have you had that thought before? Does that sound like you? And maybe if I expect you to leave, Maybe I can leave emotionally first so that you can't hurt me. And that's the part that I've been sitting with. Do I abandon myself before anyone else gets a chance? And honestly, that question is way bigger than friendship. Because once I asked it there in that moment, I started wondering where else I might be doing this with work, money, health, sobriety, commitment, opportunities, receiving, marriage, motherhood. Where do I say that I want something but still keep one foot out the door? Where do I not fully commit because some part of me is afraid of what happens if I do? Have you asked yourself those questions? Where do I protect myself from disappointment? By never really fully giving myself the chance to have what I want. That's a hard question, but it's a good one. It's a good one. Because sometimes the thing that keeps us safe, is also the thing that's keeping us lonely. Sometimes the thing that protects us from disappointment is actually protecting us from possibility. And sometimes the wall that keeps the pain out is also the wall that keeps love out. And that doesn't mean the wall was stupid, okay? Or unnecessary. It just may have made perfect sense at one point in your life or at a season in your life. Maybe it protected you. It helped you survive. Maybe it kept you from being hurt again and again and again. But just because a strategy once protected you, it doesn't mean that it still deserves to be in charge. So now I'm trying to look at it differently. So instead of why do I keep ruining things, I get curious and I ask myself, what am I trying to protect myself from? And that feels actually more useful. Am I protecting myself from abandonment? From being used, disappointed, from being seen too deeply, or from needing someone? Maybe from trusting someone who may not deserve my trust? Do you know any people out there like that you trust, but maybe they don't deserve your trust? And then this is the part that turns the mirror back toward me. Am I giving myself the thing that I keep asking other people for? I must say that again. Am I actually giving myself the thing that I'm asking other people for? Because if I want consistency from other people, am I consistent with myself? If I want people to show up for me, do I show up for myself? Hmm. If I want people to honor my boundaries, do I honor my own? If I want people to see me, am I willing to see myself honestly, completely, wholly, with grace? If I want people to stay, do I stay with myself when things get uncomfortable? That one right there. Oh, do I stay with myself when it gets uncomfortable? Because I think sometimes we can become so focused on who left us that we never actually stop to ask ourselves, where did I leave myself? Hmm. And I don't mean in a dramatic way, okay? So don't blame yourself for everything kind of way. I just mean it gently, curiously. Maybe you learned to people please. Maybe you learned to overgive. Maybe you learn to be easy. Maybe you learn not to need enough or too much or to keep the peace. Maybe you learn to numb or learned to disconnect before someone else could disconnect from you. And those are strategies. But the great news is that strategies can be changed. And that's the part that I actually find hopeful. Self-protection can look a lot like self-sabotage from the outside. But once you understand what the protection is trying to do, you have a choice. You can actually say, thank you. I see why you learned this. And also, you can say, you don't have to run my life anymore. So maybe this is your little sip for today. So take a breath. Put your hand on your chest, one on your belly, and take a breath in, and then long exhale through the mouth. And then just ask yourself, where am I keeping one foot out of the life that I say that I want? Ha. Where am I keeping one foot out of the life that I say I want? Hmm. Because where are you asking for closeness but protecting yourself from being known or seen or heard? Where are you asking for abundance but not trusting yourself to actually hold it? Where are you asking for health but still negotiating with the habits that move you away from them or from health? Where are you asking for sobriety but you're still romanticizing the escape? Hmm. Where are you asking for commitment but you still have an exit plan? Or you have the door in the back open to make your escape. You don't need to judge the answer, okay? Just notice it. Just notice it. And then maybe ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid would actually happen if I fully let myself have this thing? That question might actually tell you a lot. Hmm. And remember, you don't have to get it perfect. You just need to notice. Pause, breathe, and then just make a better than choice. One choice that treats you with a little more honesty, a little more care, a little more self-trust than the choice before it. That's how you rebuild trust with yourself. That's how you stop abandoning yourself. Just one tiny moment at a time. And that is truly how you come home. I am Margarita Rose, and this was your cup of awakening. Sip it slowly, sisters.